Okay.
Go.
Welcome everybody to my C Sharp beginners class final project. My name is Ashton Clark. This here is my not my instructor, but my teacher, someone who helped me out.
I'm a residential lazy asshole, is
That-
what he's saying.
That too, Nick Flannery. He's also known as the guy that you guys could have went to during like I think half the semester of C Sharp to help you out with tutoring. So yeah, let's get this started. We're gonna start with the class library.
So, the thing to note before this, I respect how you did it, other guy. That's interesting. For the other people though, I'm gonna walk you through how we set this up. So, if you go ahead and hit File up at the top left corner, hit New. Sorry, Ashton's computer is sensitive.
Very sensitive. Like, yo, this mouse fam. Okay, here we go.
Project. You're gonna want to hit Project, and see that class library for the .NET standard.
Right here.
Either .NET Standard or .NET Framework. Do that, and this will open. But anyway, go ahead and hit Cancel out of that. Do that, and you're going to get something blank like this open. And from here, you can kind of populate it however you want to. We just named it Conversion because
this is a conversion. We're doing the conversion selection of the final project where you convert, temperatures, the Celsius to Fahrenheit, Fahrenheit to Celsius, the distance, kilometers to meters, miles, and meters to feet. That's what we did right here. So what's going on here is that we made a namespace called class library because we didn't change what it wanted to be called. But the public class we named conversions.
Because it just makes it easier. You want it to be intuitive because if you're like me, your head is so full of names that you just forget shit.
And if you're like me, you're a noob at this, and so you want to make sure everything you name makes sense and you don't get lost when you get so deep in coding. So we start off by making a public double C to F, which stands for Celsius to Fahrenheit.
And you can name that whatever you want to.
As you will soon see.
That's just what we went with because we like it easy. Coding is, and it's my philosophy that coding is the best practice is the laziest practice.
It's kind of true, as you will see. So why did we do double temperature here? Are we calling a variable temperature and sending it double, right?
So what we're doing right here is this is going to be a mini class tutorial. So classes are full of methods similar to how your main class has a main method that's automatically called. In that method, you can go ahead and pass references and variables to that to where you can actually play around with those variables and get like information from the main program and then use it here. And so we went ahead and used double because it can be like 75.4 degrees Fahrenheit or Celsius. If you're wanting to be pretty precise, you have to start using those decimals, and it's easy to use doubles all the way down. Some of them you don't really need to have as doubles, but it makes it uniform. And if you really are bothered by how some of them are doubles and it displays a 0.0, you can chop it off. I don't remember if our class automatically chops it off, but it's one line of code.
Our doubles give you exactly what you're asking for.
It's set precision,
and
you can just look it up. Look it up, copy, paste it. No need to get fancy with it. So what's going to happen with each of those is it's going to take in a value and it's going to operate on that value and then return the new value.
So right here, temperature, this is where in the coding you will put in a value like 50. So then it will be 50 times 9 divided by 5 plus 32 by order operations.
And it doesn't have to be named temperature. Again, your names don't really matter, just so long as you are consistent with your naming.
Yes, that's why we have IDK, which people know is I don't know. So our variable for our double and return is I don't know.
So it's consistent, but that's to prove the point of it doesn't matter what you name your variables, provided that your boss doesn't get mad at you. But I mean, if any of you have looked to the source code of Microsoft XP, the operating system,
What's up?
They swear in creative ways that I had never even imagined. Let me tell you, you can tell whenever they start to get to crunch time. So your boss probably will never see it, and he won't care.
So as you can tell, since we did it this way, and it worked, we just copy and paste it all the way down with different variables. We'll give you some examples.
Mark Zuckerberg,
which is his favorite, but we're gonna get there in a minute. So that's why the next one is public double F to C, which is Fahrenheit to Celsius. It's set to double temperature again because it's the same thing except a different formula right here. So that's why our double is bumblefuck and return bumblefuck. Because like he said, it doesn't matter what you name it. He was just trying to prove me a point when he says name it bumblefuck. So that's what I did. Then we have the kilometers to miles. We set the double to distance because, like I said, keep it relative to what you're naming it, except when you don't care, like my faith in you.
The difference of this is that the kilometers to miles is the one that you're going to be calling, and that's the one you're going to have to remember. But the inner workings of it, you won't actually mess with in the top level of code. The inner machinations, you will trust that they will work on their own. So you can do whatever, because I kind of made a pun with return my faith in you, because you really need to.
Yeah.
Also, for those wondering, I'm eating lychee candy because I am addicted and have no self-control.
They're really good. Then we have miles to kilometers. Megafuck is the variable used here, and the formula right here. Like I said, this can be very simple. Not bashing the what's his name, Mitchell Champo. Sorry if I said your name wrong. He did a very good job, but when I saw it, it blew my mind because I looked at it and like it can be done so much simpler. So like watch his, then come and watch mine, and you see that these codes look very simple. That you can just use what we just did and rename everything.
Copy and paste this, and copy and pasting, no problems with, because that's what you do in programming. Don't reinvent the wheel. Your boss will get angry that you're wasting time.
Exactly. So then here we have centimeters to inches, inches to centimeters, meters to feet, feet to meters. Also, if you want to read this, this is saying right here, seriously, why the fuck are we doing something this suddenly complicated? What the fuck? So like I said, you can name it wherever the heck you want it to be. This method could be a joke. Look right here. This method could be a joke being trans if you really want it to be. And then he set doubles to Caitlyn Jenner equal Bruce Jenner. Return Caitlyn Jenner.
I'm making a stupid trans joke. I'm not sorry. I'm not politically correct.
Then we have public double F to N, like I said, feet to meters. I just made this stupid joke. He's commenting on this. Then we have days to years, double time. Like I said, keep it related. This sounds dirtier than it actually is. That's his mind when at work. He wanted me to put that. That's what I did.
It does sound dirtier than it actually is, though. Just like spotted dick.
Well, obviously.
Well, I mean, that's actually a dessert, though, in England. Really? Let me tell you this.
I call bull on that.
No.
Intermission. I call bull on that. Traditional spotted dick. English steam. Yeah, it's like a sponge cake and it's spotted. I don't know why they call it a dick though. It looks good though.
It's because it's from like the 18th century.
He has a can.
Yeah. Dude, everything in England comes in a can. They don't have any taste, so I mean, it's just whatever.
Alright, so then we have public double, years to days, and here's the formula right here, times 365 days, obviously. Like up here, it was time times divided by 365 days.
And why that works is we go ahead and make that a double. You could make that an int, and it would chop off, and it would round either up or down, but you typically don't want that with years. And I mean, sure, you could, but you typically don't. You typically don't want that.
Also, if I remember correctly, doubles is just like, what is it, big int or int? What was it, 60?
It's a reference to int 32, but it has a decimal place in it.
So, like I said,
And that decimal makes the difference.
yeah, and like I said, it will give you the biggest. If you put in a big number, like 1 million days for whatever reason, it will give you those years. So using a double, I feel like is way better than using an int, which will probably not compile that.
Definitely needed and well, no, you can use an int on that one. You'll just lose precision. Like if you do like 500 days, that will tell you that it's 2 years instead of actually a year and a half. So
Okay.
precision's important with that. The next one, not so much. With the yes, I am aware this did not have to be a double, but to hell with it because it didn't have to be a double.
No.
That could have actually been an int because even if we are working with a double in years, we will likely never be working with like percentages of days, if that makes sense. Like we can say a year and a half, but we don't say like a day and a half whenever we want to just keep track of days.
Sure.
Or 1.897 days. Whereas 1.897 years, that has a direct translation to the amount of days you're on. So you could have made that an int, yeah, but uniform. It's
keep it the same. Don't confuse anyone who could be looking at this code like you. So we didn't want to confuse
you. If you change one small difference,
it will blow the whole thing up.
It's great.
All right.
And so this is to prove you can name it whatever you want. So anyone who's curious, go ahead.
So this is kilograms to kilograms to pounds, double mass, and this is his favorite saying from Eagle Raptor from YouTube. So this is a double.
Go ahead and show them how long it is. Go ahead.
My boy, if I can find the thing that allowed me to scroll over, I think this is covering it. We gotta move. Yeah, that is
right there.
Okay, so here we are. So here's the thing. Let me move this. No, not that. This. Okay, there we go.
There we go.
So right here, it says motherfucking.
No, I got it.
All right, go for it.
Motherfucking Jesse Eisenberg, Jesus Christ, dude. Fuck, dude. Motherfucking Facebook movie bullshit. Jesus, can you fucking believe this shit? Goddamn, create Facebook and fucking lawyers and shit. Fucking Winklevoss twins, goddamn, ruined the vote. Goddamn, this shit. I can't even fucking believe this shit. Have you seen this shit? Fuck, I just watched this shit. Fuck Jesse Eisenberg, man. Motherfucking Spider-Man, putting the time, putting the time, motherfucking Bill Show with his bare hands, fucking best friend Jesse Eisenberg, shit, I'm so very tired. No, man, I'm just talking about the Facebook movie all day, shit, man, you have to be so interested in the shit I have to say about the Facebook movie, dude. I just watched it half a year ago, Jesse Eisenberg, man, fuck over Spider-Man, crazy Winklevoss twins growing, fuck Resin, or did the soundtrack, fuck this guy who went to Facebook, I don't like dying, I can't think of the guy who invented Facebook, all I can think of is the guy who played the guy who invented Facebook, who the fuck invented Facebook?
And it equals to if you didn't, let me get over there. It equals to mass times the
kilograms to pounds.
Kilograms to pounds. That's kilograms to pounds. This is pounds.
That's the ratio.
That's the ratio for how many pounds it takes to go into kilograms. And it returns exactly what he just said. And it works. I will show that it works.
You're young, dude.
And public double pounds to kilometers. Double mass, kilograms, double Mark Zuckerberg equals mass times the kilograms.
Right. And then go ahead and show them the visual one, because this is where
the Windows form.
Yeah, go ahead and show them the form. This is where I imagine a lot of people are going to get caught up on. So I'm going to go over a few tips and tricks. So nice. Yes. Click here for disappointment.
Boom.
Yeah, that's great. Anyway, so what you can do here is go ahead and we have a toolbox over here. This is fantastic. This, you have no idea how much it can make your life easier. This has anything that you will ever need in most forms, in most GUI forms. It has your labels, it has your list, it has your text box, it has buttons, it has menu strips, and it's just so easy to just put it in, because all you have to do is just click and drag. Boom. And then if you need more, Control C, Control V. Done. Then if you want to get rid of it, delete. Done.
So that's all he technically did. He set up two text boxes And when you set up the text boxes, you double click the text box and it will take you to where the coding can happen for your text box. So right here, here's text box 1. Then
it will, important thing to note before I forget, whenever you double click it though, what you will do is you will open the code to whenever that thing executes.
right here.
So for example, if you double click a text box, it will go text box changed. However, if you double click a button, which this is important, if you double click a button, it will go to the event that happens whenever you press that button.
Right here.
So
this is the second button, and it will be known as the second button.
it automatically names it for you too. Fantastic.
Then all you gotta do is add it. So like right here, because one of the things is that you have to make a button that clears all the feed that you do.
And then here's all the buttons right here.
And by copy and paste, as you can tell, a crap ton of buttons. Let me get over there. I copy and paste from this one button. I copy pasted 13 to 14 buttons, each connected to the class library through abbreviations such as Celsius to Fahrenheit. Double click that. You have conversion lols. Like I said, you can name it anything. Equals new conversion. So that's calling the class, saying that we'll be using the conversion class.
Important thing to note though, right here though, in order to actually get your class, you gotta go to references.
Yes, that's the most important thing.
You gotta go to references over here and add reference. You're probably gonna have to browse. You need to find your DLL file for your library.
For your library.
Find it. We could not figure it out.
You have to look that up.
It was.
So once you find it, you'll click the checkbox. Make sure you click the checkbox. You gotta click the checkbox. You can't double click it.
This is awesome.
You can't double click it. It ain't gonna check it for you. You gotta click the checkbox, then you click OK. And then your reference will show up over here.
And then you just type in using and then whatever
Using
your
class
library
1.
or whatever your library happens to be named. And then that will let you do this. That will let you call it.
Call it, and then you can set the variable. Then you double test convert to double text box double. You name it wherever you want. You said Hitler did nothing wrong. Equal
It's my
lols.
favorite flavor of Mountain Dew. Did you hear about that?
What?
Oh yeah, you don't know about that?
No.
Okay, so for the uninitiated, Mountain Dew had a contest online. That's the first problem. Never have the internet decide anything for you. It was called Dub the Dew. And the most popular flavor that was described as apple with an electric twist to it was Hitler did nothing wrong.
Did it win?
It won. Mountain Dew had to swiftly retract and cancel that contest. It later became known as Mountain Dew Livewire. So, lesson learned from Bodie McBoatface. Hitler did nothing wrong. And God, what is? Hold on. Go ahead.
While he looked this up, so double Hitler did nothing wrong equals lows because you need to keep calling that lows. Lows is the variable that's connecting the class to this button. So lows dot ctof. So this right here is calling the method in this class, which is the Celsius to Fahrenheit right here. So typing this variable right here, Celsius to Fahrenheit, activates the method for when I click the button and test it. It makes it work. And textbox2.text will put in the answer from the conversion in textbox 2, as I will show real quick. So what we do, we're gonna start this right here. Oops. Did I stop it? Where'd it go? Okay, here we go. Boom. Wait, that ain't it. I gotta set it up for it to be that. Hold on. How do I do that again? It's Windows.
Good question.
Form.
Oh yeah.
And then how do I make it the?
I found it, by the way. The other thing that the internet named was a snowplow called the Gritsy Bitsy Teeny Weeny Yellow Anti-Slip Machine.
Okay, so there you go. I think this is how you do it. You go here and you click Set as Startup Project. You right-click this and set Startup Project. So when we start it, it should be that.
Oh, and
boom.
Of course, the other plow, David Plowy. Letting the internet name your crap, it's fantastic. Can't go wrong.
I put in 50, so I'm going to change 50 degrees Celsius to Fahrenheit by clicking this Fahrenheit button. Boom, 122 Fahrenheit. because it's Celsius to Fahrenheit. Now, if I want to clear that, I do the clear button that I made called blow it up, blow it all up. Boom, blow it all up. It's clear. Another way we can do it is after I put in, boom, that right there, and then click the Celsius Fahrenheit button again. There you go. We can go up to my blow it all up menu, click boom, gone. Now, if you want to exit the program though, you click here for disappointment, and then leave me like my ex-girlfriend. Boom, it's gone.
Or boyfriend. We don't discriminate here.
I do. Now, go back to the buttons. All the buttons, just like in the class over here, where I copy and pasted all of it into and make it look pretty much the same. Very nice, clean, freaking simple. From our names, very simple, very clean. Did the same thing here. I made one button, got it to work, copy this right here, and then made a new button. And with that new button, I paste what I copied right here, and then change the variable right here. Because see, I want to call Fahrenheit to Celsius. That's that button. I want to call a new method from the class library, and that will be the kilometers to miles. So now with the kilometers to miles button, it will do the kilometers to miles conversion right here. Well, hold on, my bad.
If you want to get really fancy with it, you can play around with some of the menus, play around with some of the switch operations, and play around with messing with checkboxes. And you could do based on, oh crap, I am playing Cookie Clicker. So, I don't have a problem. You have a problem.
So as you can see, when I typed in 456, I clicked the kilometers to miles button. I got 283.344 miles. So as you can see, just changing that abbreviation, because in the class there's an abbreviation for it, I believe.
Yeah.
Right here. See, like D to Y, F to M, M T to O, F. I'm calling these variables, like I said,
right there.
K to M right here. I'm calling this entire thing to do the formula for me by retyping this variable.
Make sure you make it case sensitive. If I have lost my fucking mind because I was trying to figure out why I'm in a slot machine a few years ago. I was trying to figure out why it just wasn't calling the payout correctly. Turns out I had capitalized payout in my class library. Didn't capitalize payout whenever
he was calling it.
So thankfully though, Visual Studio is fantastic about catching your mistakes. Like here, go ahead and delete F to C. Yeah, and delete that period too.
All right.
Now type it back in.
Boom.
And it's right there.
F to C. And that's all you have to do. Double click it. Boom. So like I said, once you get the first one done, you just keep doing that. You just did what I just did right there, and make sure you put in a different one and it matches your button. And then there you go. You got your Windows form made. You got your buttons. It does the formula when you click it. You got your text box. It auto starts on the text box when you start it.
Don't make it harder than it has.
See?
Unless you're curious about it, and unless you're wanting to play around with it, which I wholeheartedly support, playing around and screwing around with programming is really one of the best ways to learn. Just don't reinvent the wheel. Don't try and kill yourself.
And it doesn't have to be extremely complicated. It can be as simple as we're showing you. Now let's go over to the unit test, because this is another thing I know a lot of people have trouble with. We have trouble with it. I couldn't figure it out. He couldn't figure it out. We had to ask outside help. They gave us a link. Mitchell gave me a link. We found another link. So this is how you do a unit test.
So quick explanation of the unit test. The times you will use a unit test are exceedingly rare. I've never used one. My friend who works in really, really huge databases, he says he can count the number of times he uses it on one hand. He talked to him, it was Justin. Yeah, I did ask him about that. He said I've only used it twice. And the reason for that is 9 times out of 10, Instead of doing this, you will be testing your code in a sort of test class on its own, which is typically made by someone else in the company, or it's made by you, and all it does is call your code. That's all it does. So an explanation for what this does is there's 3 stages to it. One, and it's going to be awkward to explain it whenever we're doing something like this that doesn't really have 3 distinct answers to it.
But keep that thought real quick. Before you even make a unit test, you want to go to, what was that, file again?
Yeah.
So you want to go to file, you want to go to new, you want to, let me get there. I hate my hand.
It's your computer, dude. Even I have difficulty with
project. You will see unit test app. Double click that, go through the steps.
Updated and renamed it recently. Trust me, all those tutorials are wanting you to create that. As odd as it sounds.
Unit test app. And then you want to call your library again in order to test your unit test. So using class library 1 again. So wherever your library is, put that in there. Then you can start trying to do your unit test. So public class unit test 1, that's what we named it, that's what we have. Then we have our
auto-populated too.
Yep. Then we have our test method, public void test method. So right here we have conversion lol equal new conversion, because that's what it was over here in the forms, that's what it was over here in the class.
Plus I'm uncreative, and so whenever I can't think of a name, I just name it lol or what.
So then we also to test it for positive, because we want it to work. The positive test unit is when you want it to work. So we did a double numbers because we're working with numbers. That's when you're saying it's kind of weird and you'll never do a unit test, positive, negative, or edge case, because definitely edge case, because you is either going to work or it's going to fail.
It's going to be a number or it's not going to be a number. Edge cases are to where sometimes your test will work and other times it won't. A good example of it is capitalization with certain words. Your computer may not recognize those words and may not know if those are capitalized or not. The thing about numbers, though, is your computer does understand numbers really well. Your computer is built on numbers, built on ones and zeros. So your computer will always know, is this a number or is this not a number? And this will only fail if it's not a number. You can put in negatives, you can put in positives, you can put in whatever you want. Actually, one second. I'm going to actually change this part right here to, just in case, -9 trillion. That works. So what you're going to do is basically just test, does it work if you put a number in it? And if it does, it'll compile correctly and your program won't have any errors. And then you're going to test if it doesn't work correctly.
Right here.
And if it doesn't work correctly because the assert.is false is saying that your code's going to break. And if it does, then I'll compile correctly. And then you typically have a edge case for some certain things. We went ahead and just made it for if you have nothing,
right here,
which is weird.
And make sure you name these unit tests different names. This is unit test 1. This is unit test 2. Change the public void to test method 2. It's always got to be a different test method or unit test, or it won't work. Yep. So we set this one to fail. This is the negative one. That's why we have string array numbers equals name, John, what the hell, why. I did not learn any of this. These are all strings, and it's a string number. Of course, string numbers don't work because
how we got that for a while is we forced it to a double. But the thing is, if you force a string to a double, you get some weird results. It's
right
great.
Here.
You will typically get something like 50 to the 50th or higher or lower, or you can get like -900 decillion.
And right here in the string format, it expects for 0, false, actual ones. Because you see, this one wants it to be true. This one's true actual. This one's false actual. Like I said, this is negative. This is the positive unit test. And again, very, very simple. Does not have to be complicated. And this one is the edge case, the one that's the 50-50. Either it will read it or it won't read it. Either it will catch it or it won't catch it. It is this unit test 3, test method 3, conversion low. Like I said, copy and pasted.
String numbers. Important thing for me to clarify here. This is to check if your code works. This is not to catch bugs in your code. That is a different method called try and catch.
Yep.
And don't worry about that. That is, if you have a very deep understanding of all the different little errors and all how your compiler works and all the different little bugs that will come in your code whenever you get into different operating systems, which you won't now. Don't worry. That will come. That will come much later if you
want to keep going in this.
If you want to keep going, that is typically for the high-end computer engineers to handle, and they get paid a lot of money to do that. So if you just want to work with top level like I do, don't worry about it. That is above your pay grade. So.
And again, if you have multiple projects on here, you want to go to set as startup project, and then when we click start. Oh, what's this? Local machine?
Yep, local machine. Yep, needs to be deployed.
Oh, how we deploy that?
I should tell you with this.
Oh, okay.
Now we got to redeploy it. Verify the project is selected and deployed in the solution configuration menu. Okay. Well, we got to deploy unit test project 1. You're trying to deploy the.
How we do that? We gonna learn something today.
You're trying to deploy the unit test, not the project itself.
Oh, okay.
You can't actually run the unit test itself by its own.
Oh, okay. It's still set to that.
Oh, okay. So, build this, and then
we went to set as startup project.
Yeah, you can't actually do it as the unit test itself. How you test the unit test is if it comes back compiled or not. That's the best way I can describe it.
So
again, unit testing is odd. Typically, if you want to test your code, just make a blank class or blank method, I guess I should say, and its only job is to call your class. And then you do something I call idiot proofing, because your users will 9 times out of 10 be an idiot. Hey, if I was on call for an hour and 45 minutes trying to tell an old lady where the back button was in Internet Explorer, it'll happen to you.
Sure.
It will.
Sure. We'll come back and we'll show you how to test this in a minute, but let's go to the last thing that he's asked for that we get the round on. Is this the console app program. Now, if y'all looked at my thread before, I had a console app working, but it wasn't done the way he wanted it, and now it is, because it is going off the class library. It no longer has the formula written on here. It's going off what's in the class library as shown right here. LOF, CTOLF, just like you saw, and all the other ones, it's going off and calling it from the class library here.
And so the important distinction to make between that, the reason why you might want to do this is if you're wanting to call one method and do one conversion multiple times in the code. It doesn't really work for this as much because you can hard code it and it will be just as effective. But say you were wanting to convert something to Fahrenheit multiple times in the code. Or say that you're wanting to convert multiple things multiple times in the code. Like convert.toDouble is a class that Microsoft made. And so classes are typically used for if you're wanting to be lazy and not wanting to type in, because you may be thinking, oh, it's just 3 lines of code, I can do it. But whenever you have to type in 3 lines of code like 15 times, you kind of get tired of it.
And that's when this little shortcut here comes in.
And remember, we're lazy. Us computer scientists are the laziest people on the planet. It is our job.
So let's go over the console app real quick. We have double mass for all the ones that are in the mass class, which is your kilograms to pounds. I think it's just kilograms to pounds. I think that's it. So kilograms to pounds.
Actually, we don't need those anymore.
Really?
Oh yeah. If you want to actually check where those are referenced, one sec.
I'm going to delete it. Okay.
If you want to check and see if these are referenced anywhere, all you have to do is highlight them. Great. Yeah, these don't show up anymore. We did use those previously for
the original console app program.
Yeah,
we needed a variable to call. But since we already have the variable to be called in the class library, we don't need it.
Oh no, mass is over here.
Yeah.
Okay.
So you do need it, like I said.
Yeah, we do need it still.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
never
like I
mind.
said, set to double mass, double distance for your distances, double temperature for your Celsius to Fahrenheit, and double time for your years to days and days to years. Then you have your conversion law, which is calling the class, because you got to put it up here again. Got to call it every time you're using your class library.
Always call it. Always add a reference to it.
Always got to add a reference to it.
The thing that I would recommend is be careful about just referencing everything and calling everything. You want your code to take as little room as possible, unless you're me, and then you want it to take as much room as possible because it makes you feel accomplished.
I want as little room as possible.
Yeah.
The less there is, the more efficient it is.
Yeah, and the more efficient it is, the better it will look on you, and the better your boss will like you because it will run on more machines.
Now, this right here was here. This is not a joke. This is me making my list. It looks bad, I know, but this is me making my list. The console.write line asking you which one you want to do. 1, give you Celsius Fahrenheit. 2, give you Fahrenheit Celsius. You will see what I mean once I start the program.
I know what, that's fine. It can look bad whenever you're trying to write a string. Strings naturally look weird whenever you write them. The important thing is that whenever you get to the console, that it's readable. So don't worry so much about making your strings look pretty. Make your variables look pretty and make your methods look pretty. Because those are the ones that you're going to be interacting with.
Because in the console, these \n's are interspaces, so these are all going to stack up on top of each other like a list.
So then plus, it's just easier to read things in the console and edit things in the console. That will stick out more. Yeah. So don't worry about it looking ugly right there.
So then we have the string unit of measurement equals console.readline, so it can read your feedback of choosing one of these. And then you have your double variable convert to int, so it can read your integer input as a string.
So you did write that as valor.
Value. I was done with this. I did not want to change it. So then we have the while loop that will allow you to keep doing it over and over and over again. As long as you don't enter 0, then it's going to keep going. That's why way down here we have a break that if you do put 0, it will end the program.
And that break might not be necessary, but it's nice to have.
Nice to have. So then we have right here unit measurement of 1.
Again, and people are stupid.
Yeah, unit measurement of 1. And when you type 1, it's going to call Celsius to Fahrenheit. Right here, we're going to have you please enter a value. So when you press 1, it will ask you to please enter a value. And you will type in your value. And then the value will go and be put in through the process of the class library for Celsius to Fahrenheit. Run through the formula and output it right here. Because it will add the I don't know right here, which is the formula, and put it right here. Then it's going to say, please choose another converter or press 0 and exit. Read line, it will clear it so it'll make it look nice so you won't have a whole bunch of it piled up and your list of options disappear. And then we'll also re-ask you a new list. Because if you just have the clear and don't put the list back, it's going to clear everything. So make sure you have the list re-entered in your if statement if you're using a clear. And put it after the clear, not before it, after it, because it will clear everything above.
Nick's note right here. The other thing that you could do, you want to do it this way, but if you didn't want to copy paste it, because that's what you did, that's what you should do.
Yes.
You could just, instead of doing this up here, you could actually do it at the very beginning of the while loop before you have anything like that.
Oh, so I don't have to copy and paste all the way all.
Yeah, but it's going to be a little bit weird for reading the line in. So you can do this. This is if you don't want to mess with the read line. This is if you can mess with it a little bit, but you don't have to worry as much.
Yeah.
His way is the better way to do it if you're new.
Hey man, I'm a noob.
Everyone in the class is. So I'd recommend it, but just if you're wondering if you can do that, the answer is yes, but you have to be careful with your scanner, and then it becomes weird that way.
So let's set this up as the project.
And then we just copy paste it. It's
copy and paste it all the way down. Like I said, don't have to be complicated. It can be as simple as you want to make it, as long as it works. So we're going to start this up right here. What unit are you trying to convert? Then you have your list 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So we type 1, it's gonna play please enter a value, go put 50. The temperature you entered in Celsius, this is in Fahrenheit. So we have 50 in Celsius, came out 122 in Fahrenheit. Fahrenheit to Celsius. Let me move that. Then you just press enter again. Press 3. There you got kilometers to miles. Press enter. 4.
Go ahead and don't press enter this time. Just automatically type in one of the numbers. Like type in 7.
Okay, let's type in 7.
Yep.
Yeah, well, the way my code is there's a problem with it. If I type in 7 and press enter, I still have to press the enter key because I still want to clear that. Then you can press 7. Then you can get a new one. Then you can enter the value. So that's a little bug in my code. But
to make sure
it doesn't break it though, because the only time you can exit is when you press enter. You press 0, and it's gone.
I wanted to make sure people understood that.
So there's a little bug in there, but as you can see, everything works just fine.
Well, you know that in case anyone decided to go ahead and use our code.
That there is a little bug in it. You have to press enter after the whole thing's done, and then press another number. All you got to do.
And if you want to get rid of that, you can get rid of the clear, but expect for it to just flower.
Fill up your console application. That's why I recommend having the clear. It will fill up your console application. So yeah, that's my final project. You have your class app calling in the class library. You have your class library with the formulas in it working in the background. You have your unit tests that you can run, which we're going to work on that real quick. You have your form.
Oh no, you can't run the unit test, dude. I told you that.
Oh.
You can't run the unit test separately. You have to attach it to something.
Oh, that's true. So unit test, very difficult. That's why nobody uses it. Then you have your form console app where you code in your stuff. Very simple to look at. And then you have your form. Very simple to look at. Everything works. Yeah, so there's my final project. Sorry if this video was too long, but I hope we made you laugh a lot, and I hope you understand that it's difficult if you haven't studied. It's difficult if you haven't been taught. I haven't been taught. I've been taught only a little bit, so I needed help, and I thank God for the help.
I will be here next semester as well.
So if y'all can't get this final project, that's totally fine. That's totally fine. We were not prepared for it at all. At least I wasn't. Maybe some of you were, but I wasn't. So, and this is how I got it done, with some help, with some understanding. And now I know how to work a Windows form. I know how to make a unit test. I always know how to do a console app flow control. And now I know how to do a class library. And I will keep this around for reference in the future.
When are you going to tell me that I stink horribly?
I didn't smell you.
Really?
I didn't smell you.
I smell terrible right now.
Well, guys, that's it. Thank you for watching. Catch y'all later.
You know